Welcome friends to another Dune video. Today we are going to examine CHOAM, how it's ruled, how it's divided up in terms of the economic side of things. CHOAM stands for the Combined Honnete Ober Mercantiles, or CHOAM, much easier to say. I'll be referring to them that way throughout this. It deals with the economic side of the Imperium, moonfish shipped from Caladan to other places, for example. CHOAM came about because of the Empire and their need to take advantage of the Spacing Guild. Before the jihad trade would be done by individual planets between planets, systems and stars, but that was chaotic and open to piracy. At these times there were caravan-style routes like in ancient times, linking the many planets together, albeit slowly. These caravans dealt with expensive goods, perhaps in an effort to cover their considerable shipping costs. Things such as spice, not spice melange but spices, and luxury clothing. When the guild did come in with the development of the Hudson Drive during the Butlerian Jihad, things changed. Feudal houses saw they had a lot in common. The houses would gain great benefits from being able to send their goods to more customers. CHOAM was an outreach from that plan and would develop into a monopoly of both interstellar trade and travel. I think in a way this helped the Spacing Guild by establishing them as such a central part of society, essentially helping with their acceptance. 1% of its gross profits would be collected per year and given out to the members of CHOAM based on the shares they had. This amount would have amounts payments for the efforts to move into new markets, say carrying a previously unseen product or growing existing trade. The upper levels of CHOAM were run by directorships. Its voting strength was balanced, as was the Imperium, between the Emperor and the Landsraad. The directorship opened you up to great amounts of wealth. Because of its single hand on commerce, CHOAM was likely the biggest source of income for many planets. You could make your house stronger and weaker by having or losing a directorship. The Emperor, as the Dune Encyclopedia tells it, has 20% of the shares, 1/5, and so he would have to rely on the other houses, reflecting the political balance that exists, and of course the military balance between the Sardaukar and the combined military forces of the Landsraad. Any house with the trading power of 500 million Solaris worth of trade could become a CHOAM director. So Leto, for example, and his popularity in the Landsraad could have shifted the power of the board. Think of the amount of trade when you have the spice trade for Arrakis. You would be rolling in money. These shares were based on what they earned without trading with other systems over 10 years. This information was provided in detailed accuracy by the Imperial Financial Intelligence. It also turned out for the systems involved a way to notice their own corruption or inefficiencies that had, unknown to them, been limiting their resources. In other words, if they can figure that out, they can earn more money. This ended many arguments before they were raised in terms of how much each should receive in shares. Great houses were approached first and the miners dealt with in regional groups. This deal strengthened the established great houses financially, and the Imperium's economy grew under CHOAM's stewardship. CHOAM did hit a barrier when over time the Emperor increased his share to 35%, and the great houses saw the meaning behind this. With his political reach and power, the Emperor could persuade other partners to go his way by around 15%, and so voting would often just confirm the position of House Carino. Members came and went as the centuries went by, but this never became an issue with so many worlds and houses ready to join. There's always one to take another's place. When Atreides defeated House Carino, this also affected CHOAM, as they took the Carino shares. Houses that fought the new regime and lost had their shares taken over by House Atreides. At the end of this, they held 51% of the shares, so the citizens of the Imperium had also lost much of their wealth at Paul's hands. In a similar way to how Paul controlled the Spacing Guild by the amount of spice he let them have, he also controlled the Guild Highliners and their ability to deliver travel and economic movement for CHOAM. So now friends, I turn this over to you. What do you feel you've learned about CHOAM during this video? Are there any other topics you'd like to see me cover here on the channel? Have you been grounded whilst trying to fly a Guild Highliner? Comment down below.